Hello, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about moving from your outline into the actual script of your comic. Yeah, I've been having a day, TM. I'll talk to you guys about it at the end, but let's just get into the actual meat and potatoes first, right? When it comes to moving from your outline to your script, I think the biggest thing you gotta do is just do it, man. This topic is based on like a question I got, and honestly, the answer was in the question. You know, it's scary to move forward into the actual writing. The more you feel closer to like things becoming permanent, you know, when you move into the script, it becomes a lot more difficult too, or at least the flaws are more apparent when you move into the script. It becomes more solid, it becomes more real, and because of that, I think it's easy to avoid it. I think we can sit in outlining hell forever and never make progress, and the only way to get past that is to just write it. There's so much that your outline cannot prepare you for. I think if you become someone who is very adherent to outlines and you work on your process and you work on moving from outline to script more often, it can become easier for you, but you have to have done it a few times. It's going to suck the first few times you do this, you know? So bite the bullet and start working on your actual script, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if your outline is perfect or ready, because if you can't tell if your outline is ready at this point in your writing career, then whether or not you start now or later really doesn't matter. You'll get a sense for your outline being too not ready if you have certain struggles along the way, if you feel lost, if you don't know where to go or whatever, or you might realize that you were just holding yourself back and you needed to just start writing. The thing that I think you can miss moving from outline into script is that you're allowed to make changes to your outline. Your outline becomes more of a living document as you move into your script, especially the less substantial portions of your story. Like, the main framework of your story is very rarely going to change, though it can make adjustments. I find more than anything, it will make adjustments to fit what you have. If it doesn't, then you end up having to write a new outline to kind of work with what you do have. I would say that, like, as someone who doesn't use outlines all the time, I use them a lot more in editing as a more diagnostic tool. By following your outline and working with it, it can help you in the editing process later. So like, when I am working on a script, I tend to have a running outline that I don't think about in the same way as I think of like major outlining. I tend to keep track of what I'm working on and then figure out what I need to move forward in my story. And that tends to be a more reactive, more fluid process than actually sitting down and doing like a large scale outline of figuring out like where each plot point must occur or whatever. It can be like, okay, I'm writing this scene and this scene will necessarily bring me to this scene here, but in order to get to that scene, I also need to make sure that these points are brought up, right? Yeah, like, moving from, like, the more I think about it, the more I'm just like assured in the fact that moving from your outline to your script is more like mentality thing. It's more like the fear to start working more than anything, because there isn't a huge jump from one to the other. The more you outline, the more you work on an outline, the more granular it becomes, until eventually you're so granular that you're just writing the script. It's just layers of detail getting like more and more refined, right? I think we can think about like outlining as a very top-down approach to working on a story, where you get kind of the broad scopes of things, and maybe from more like a bottom-up approach is someone who likes to work from like start at one scene and just kind of figure out the plot as it like unfolds to you, like by exploring each little element that is brought before you, I guess. I don't know where I'm going with this. The real thing is that I think it's very similar to like, I think that moving from outlining to scripting is very similar to like editing, where I think mid-level writers or whatever, you have like a lot of trouble with these two things because they're very high concept and they're very case by case. There's no one who can really teach you how to edit a story unless we're talking about a very specific story. That's why I do like critique and one-on-one like consultation about like people's stories, because when it comes to editing, when it comes to moving into the actual story, so much of it really depends on what's being written. Because when we're talking about moving from outlining to scripting, the real question is like, how do you script a comic? And that is such a huge question that encompasses like all other questions. It encompasses like, how do you write a romance? How do you write a scene? How do you structure your panels? How do you write chemistry between characters? How do you make dialogue good? You know, like moving from outline to scripting, there's just so many things that you can struggle with. And that's why I say you need to jump into it and just start scripting, because you don't really know where the struggle is until you actually try and do it. And usually you'll find that there's like a million things that you're struggling with, but you just got to pick one and get as good as you can be at that one thing, at fixing that one thing. And then you start fixing another thing. And then you realize the previous thing that you fixed is not good enough. And you just keep doing that until everything is good, I guess, is my take on the matter. I'm sorry that this ended up not being very specific, but like the more I think about the question, the more I'm like, this is just not a very easy question to answer. There's no simple way to do it other than to just tell you to move on from your outline. You know, keep doing outlines. Like I said, keep studying outlines. I said that in my previous video, but a good way to keep practicing outlines without making a million stories is to look at the stories that you do like and break them down. Yeah, just keep working on outlines, but like move forward. Another thing that can really help you is to work at short stories, because short stories give you like, they won't teach you everything you need to know about long form stories, but like short form stories will teach you a lot of the building blocks for long form stories. Like when you're working on like a short story, a small comic, when you do that, you're basically working on a scene or two, and scenes are the building blocks of comics, of stories, of narrative. So making everything concise and learning to like layer all of the different elements needed in a scene without it being overwhelming or whatever, like that's what like short comics can help you with. I have gone completely off the rails. I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna stop. I had quite the day, okay? This is self-inflicted, but also ADHD, but I got hyper-focused. I wanted to finish Octopath Traveler 2. I was finishing it with Ursula because me and her have a game together, and we were trying the final super boss, and it took us all day and we still haven't killed this thing. You know, we are struggling, and that's why her video is either late or not coming out today, because I had the computer all day trying to beat a video game. And previously I'd been up till 7 a.m. trying to do this as well. So it's my life. This is what's consuming my life at the minute, but I'm trying to also get my work done despite everything. So, you know, give me a little high five for that. Also, Madoka, her face started, my dog Madoka, her face was swelling up again today. So we were worried about that. We gave her some antihistamines and it's gone down a little more, but like fingers crossed that it keeps going down, because she seemed really sad today. So give my dog some some good vibes. You know, we always got to give Madoka good vibes for her poor tooth. We also got to give Ursula her good vibes because she has to go back to job hunting. So, you know, we will forgive Ursula for not putting out a video because she is job hunting. And she already graced us with 2 videos. How lovely of her. Anyways, I'm really just rambling at this point. So I'm going to head out. I'm going to edit this video. And then I'm going to freaking try and beat this boss some more. Actually, I'll eat food. I'll eat food first. And then I'll try and beat this heckin' boss.